This is the microfinance revolution that Dr. Muhammad Yunus unleashed from Bangladesh in 1983, for which he won a Nobel Prize in 2006. See, as you well know, Bangladesh is prone to famines. And in 1983, there was a severe famine in Bangladesh. And 166 people from the village where Dr. Muhammad Yunus grew up, 166 villagers were starving to death. And all that they needed was a $25 loan. So Dr. Muhammad Yunus went to the local commercial bank, which, by the way, happens to be the leading commercial bank in the world. And he told the commercial bank, look, there are 166 people who desperately need a loan of $25. Since you're in the business of lending money, why don't you give them the $25 loan? The commercial bank did their usual risk analysis and concluded these are high-risk customers. Therefore, they said no. Then Dr. Muhammad Yunus looked at his pocket. He had $25. He said, why don't I become a banker and give them the $25 loan? Let's see what happens. So he gave them the $25 loan. Something interesting happened. Of course, 166 lives were saved. That was the most important thing that happened, but something else interesting happened. He got the money back with 10% interest. Then he told himself, look, if I can make a profit by converting 166 non-consumers of bank into consumers of bank, think about how much money I can make if I convert every human being on planet Earth who's a non-consumer of bank into a consumer of bank. By the way, in this world today, there are 7 billion people. Out of 7 billion people, only 2 billion have the purchasing power to buy the goods and services corporations make. 5 billion are too poor to afford to buy those goods and services. There are 5 billion non-consumers in the world. I contend converting those 5 billion non-consumers into consumers is the single biggest growth opportunity for corporations. By the way, of those 5 billion non-consumers, bulk of them are in poor countries like India or Mexico. This is a rare opportunity for organizations in Mexico to really unlock tremendous value. So Dr. Muhammad Yunus decided, why don't they convert 5 billion non-consumers of bank into a consumer of bank? So he wanted to create a bank for the poor. But of course, he doesn't know how to set up a bank. For that matter, he doesn't know how to set up any business. He's a college professor, you see. At that time, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, in 1983, was a professor just like me. He used to teach economics in Bangladesh University. If you're a professor, you don't know how to start a business. As the saying goes, if you can, you do. If you can't, you teach. Dr. Muhammad Yunus didn't know how to start a business, so he was teaching. But he desperately wanted to start this bank. So he went to the local commercial bank and said, I want to set up a bank just like you, but I have no idea how to set up a bank. Would you be humble enough to tell me your secret sauce? I want to learn from the very best. So he patiently wrote down all the best practices of the leading commercial bank in the world. Then he started his micro-lending institution, the Grameen Bank, with exactly the opposite rules. He said, if the best practices of the leader cannot convert non-consumers into consumers, simple common sense tells me next practice has to be the opposite of current best practice. So you take care of 2 billion rich, I'll take care of 5 billion poor. You operate in urban areas, I'm going to open my bank only in rural areas. You give thousands and thousands of dollars of loan, the maximum loan you can get from Grameen Bank is $25. You lend to men, I'll lend to women. You ask for collateral before you give a loan, I'm going to ask for no collateral. You ask people to come to the bank to get the loan, I'm going to take the bank to the people. Grameen Bank started in 1983. In the last 30 years or so, Grameen Bank has given US $10 billion loans. in $25 increments. That's a lot of loans with 99% recovery. And Grameen Bank is not a non-profit organization. It's not a charitable organization. It's as much a for-profit organization as General Electric or Coca-Cola or PepsiCo. In fact, as it turns out, Grameen Bank is one of the most profitable banking institutions in the world. Now, what is the secret sauce? It's nothing but common sense.